He is responsible for the death of 40 million people, 10% of the world population of his time, so many it changed the climate. This is the story of Genghis Khan. Genghis Khan was born in 1162, then known only as Temujin, son of the ruler of one of many Mongol clans who were in constant conflict with one another, which led to his father being poisoned by an opposing clan when Temujin was just 9. Without a father, the family was abandoned by the clan, and Temujin, his brother, and his mother were starving. So when Temujin discovered his brother was hoarding food, hiding it from the family, he killed him. His brother was 14 years old when he died. Temujin committed his first murder at age 12. Over the next couple of years, Temujin grew into a leader and turned his barely surviving camp into a clan that made alliances, most notably with another clan leader named Jamukha, who became Temujin's blood brother. Together, they led an army of 5,000 men, and Temujin married his wife Berhte, but being the wife of a strong Mongol leader was dangerous. Shortly after the wedding, a rival clan kidnapped Berhte, so Temujin and his 5,000 men went to rescue his wife and slaughtered the entire enemy tribe. But by the time Berhte was back in his arms, she was pregnant. Temujin's first son was not his own, but the Conqueror would go on to have so many children that today about 20 million people are his descendants. Over the next years, Temujin built his following up to 200,000, and his success put a strain on his relationship with Jamukha. Temujin believed in a meritocracy where each man's value is only determined by his talent and merit, while Jamukha believed the united Mongols should follow an aristocracy. The tension split the Mongols apart in two camps, one led by Temujin, one led by Jamukha. Temujin knew a clash to decide who rules over all Mongols was inevitable, so he whipped his army into shape to famously be able to shoot off of horseback with insane accuracy for 500 yards. Then, in the battle against Jamukha, Temujin defeated his blood brother and gave Jamukha the chance to serve under him, but the defeated Mongol leader refused and preferred to be executed, which Temujin did by snapping Jamukha's spine. Not long after, Temujin had united all of Mongolia and was given the title Genghis Khan, which translates to Universal Ruler. China, though, did not respect his title nor his rule, and when Temujin sent the Jin Empire a peace envoy to initiate talks, they killed Genghis Khan's men. So later that year, Genghis Khan and his massive cavalry rode past the Chinese wall and invaded China, pillaging and raiding for 2 years until the Jin Empire had fallen and China was under the control of Genghis Khan. Next, the Muslim Khwarezmian Empire fell to Genghis Khan and his army. An empire that had stood for 150 years on over 3 million square kilometers was also taken down in 2 years. And so, just 15 years after he united the Mongols, Genghis Khan's empire was larger than the Romans' empire. And yet, Genghis Khan, the man who had made this all possible, was just a mortal man who died on August 12th, 1227, to causes unknown, but amongst the many rumors, it is believed that he died because a woman he forced himself on bit Genghis Khan off. He slaughtered the women and children of an entire city, and when its general refused to kneel to him, he tied him to his chariot and dragged him through the streets until he died. This is the story of Alexander the Great. Alexander was born to King Philip II of Macedonia and his wife Olympias. When Alexander was 10, a horse salesman came to the palace with a magnificent wild stallion, so powerful that all admired it, but none could tame or even ride it, not the king and not his greatest soldiers. So 10-year-old Alexander stepped up to the challenge, tamed the horse, and rode it, a feat that would foreshadow his greatness and that gained him his closest companion. He named the horse Bucephalus, and it would stay by his side throughout all of his war campaigns. By the time Alexander was 16, he had been trained in combat as well as philosophy, the former by the greatest warriors and the latter by Aristoteles himself. So when his father, King Philip, went off on a war campaign, he entrusted the seat of king to young Alexander. A Thracian tribe saw this as an opportunity to go into open rebellion, but Alexander got on Bucephalus and led his army to the rebels' hometown, where he killed them all and renamed the city into Alexandroupolis. With this, Alexander earned his own army and fought alongside his father, unifying Greece before they set their sights on conquering the much larger Persian Empire. But before they could start the Persian campaign, Philip died in 336 BCE, and Alexander, only 20, became king. To cement his rule and earn respect, Alexander trained with his army and fought beside them. Those who opposed him, like the city of Thebes, they were crushed. And then Alexander turned to Persia, a vast empire 20 times the size of his own kingdom, and with 48,000 men, Alexander led the charge, invading Persia, and in his first battle, he was nearly killed, but he came back stronger. In his second battle, 4,000 Persians died versus only 400 Greeks. Then Alexander besieged Persian coastal cities with extreme violence. In Gaza, his men killed every man, enslaved women and children, and when Gaza's governor Baptiste refused to kneel, Alexander tied him to a chariot and dragged him to death. Egypt was next to be conquered, but they welcomed Alexander, called him the son of Zeus, and crowned him pharaoh. So, with all these victories, new lands, and new soldiers to his name, it was time to attack the Persian king Darius head on. 47,000 of Alexander's men faced 500,000 Persians. The Persian king wanted to restore his pride and crush Alexander as quickly as possible, so he personally led the battle with chariots and heavy cavalry. But Alexander's troops simply parted and invited the cavalry in, encircled them, and slaughtered them all. King Darius ran away in fear, and the rest of his army lost all morale, fell apart, and was defeated by Alexander, who was outnumbered 10-1. Alexander had successfully conquered Persia and now ruled over half the known world at age 25. He also embraced Persian culture, married Persian women, had his generals do the same, and put Persian officers in command. But the proud Greeks, they despised him for it, and Alexander lost their respect, meaning when he led them to conquer India, their morale was gone. In the foreign lands of India, they met enemies riding on war elephants in brutal heat. They lost the battles, and all that was left of their fighting spirits. The army demanded to go home, and so Alexander ended the 10-year-long world-conquering campaign with a massive victory party, during which Alexander got so drunk that he mysteriously died 10 days later on June 10th, 323 BCE at age 32. He killed 5 women and removed their organs, and the police never found him. This is the story of Jack the Ripper, who terrorized East London in 1888. East London at the time was Gotham City with a British accent, a place that police had given up on, and thus the ideal place for women to sell their body in the streets for some extra money. A job that came with serious risks, and those risks were that society did not care about these women. They were the perfect targets for Jack the Ripper. The killer could contact these women for the duty of providing pleasure, and due to the stigma surrounding their work, they had to take him to places with no cops around, aka the perfect place to commit a violent crime in secret. And Jake's trademark knife, it didn't just take lives. The man also took organs and body parts. He carved his victims up in such expert fashion that it suggests medical knowledge, and left the mutilated bodies behind, which quickly made him notorious around England. But that wasn't a problem for Jack the Ripper, because he didn't worry about attention. In fact, he sent letters to newspapers and the police, one of them even containing a half-preserved kidney, Jack's grotesque way to tease them for their inability to catch him over the 4-month stretch during which he murdered and dissected 5 confirmed victims: Mary Ann Nichols, Anne Chapman, Elizabeth Stride, Catherine Eddowes, and Mary Jane Kelly, and it is assumed that there are more unconfirmed victims. Despite the attention and outrage his murders sparked, Jack the Ripper was never caught. Suspects included Aaron Kosminski, a Polish barber who was later linked via DNA evidence, Dr. Thomas Neil Cream, a doctor and confirmed serial killer, and Lewis Carroll, the author of Alice in Wonderland, and even the grandson of Queen Victoria, the Duke of Clarence. Others thought that the royal family hired Jack the Ripper because the Duke had a secret child with a woman selling her body in the streets, a stain on the record of the royal family that they wanted erased, along with anybody that knew such a woman gave birth to the Duke's child. But despite all these theories, the identity of Jack the Ripper really remains a mystery to this day.